On September 15th, 1999, I was there.
When I got my driver's license in 1998, it opened a whole new world to me. I already had an old car waiting for me to drive it when that day came. I got to go to strange new places I couldn't get to on a bicycle in a timely manner. When I started driving the '86 Oldsmobile Cutlass my mom handed down to me, I put a lot of miles on it until I got another car in 2005. This would eventually have me buying my own tickets to a sporting event and taking myself and other people with me to see them. This new era of freedom would begin on St. Patrick's Day in 1999 when I got a nice penalty box seat to watch the Sharks play the Florida Panthers. 1999 would be the final season for Giants baseball at Candlestick Park. After 40 seasons, the Giants were set to move into a new ballpark situated on the corner of 3rd and King Streets at the China Basin the next season. So I wanted to take any opportunity I could to watch Giants baseball at the yard I went to in my early youth. I had already went to 2 games that season. Both games had me sitting in the cheap seats in places I was curious on how the view was from there. The first was on May 19th. Movie theaters were making money hand over fist that day at the release of Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. It would be my first live Giants game in almost 4 years, with my previous visit to the Stick in August of 1995. They would host the Arizona Diamondbacks, an expansion team in their second season, and I will say, it would be quite a remarkable second season for them. Acquiring the 2015 Hall of Fame pitcher Randy Johnson after half a season with the Houston Astros. Also, they boasted 4 All-Stars in the 1999 season. Johnson, former Pittsburgh Pirate Jay Bell, former Giants third baseman Matt Williams, and another former Astro that would be the talk of that game, Luis Gonzalez. I sat in the aluminum bleachers in left field that were built before the 1993 season. The group that sat there were known as the Bond Squad, getting the privilege of seeing Barry Bonds play left field up close. The Giants not only bombed the D-backs 8-3, but they ended a very long 30-game hitting streak by Gonzalez. The second game I went to was a month later. The Giants hosted another new team. Well, a new team that was in their second season in the National League, the Milwaukee Brewers. My childhood friend and I got some cheap seats and we sat in the right field pavilion. Despite it being a very shaded area, I still got sunburned. So did the Giants as they lost to the Brew Crew 5-1. The Brewers were a mediocre bunch and the only recognizable names on that club was Marquise Grissom and maybe Jeremy Burnett. Since I got my license and a new sense of freedom, I would ask the burning question, who and where would the Giants be playing on my birthday? As an early gift, my mom shelled out the money on the tickets. Unlike the last 2 times, I wanted to get as close as I could to the action. I would be sitting in a spot where I was in 1991 as I watched the Giants wreck the Dodgers' playoff hopes, near the third base dugout. I would drive up to the Stick for the very last time, but not before I splurged a little at GameStop for the latest Final Fantasy installment and the newest NHL Face-Off game, as a birthday present for myself. I would attend this swan song with the same childhood friend I went with 3 months earlier. He got a last-minute ticket in the same section I was sitting in, but 7 rows behind me. A few people shy of 12,000 was the paid attendance for the game, meaning the park was going to be pretty much empty on that night. I decided to be bold. I took myself to the front row, right behind the third base dugout. I waved him over to the front row and told him, it's highly unlikely they're going to ask us to move. So for my final trip, I got another front row seat. Try doing that at Oracle Park in current year without spending a week's pay. The Giants were once again a force to be reckoned with in the NL West. They were hoping to build off the 1998 season, where they lost to the Chicago Cubs in a 1-game playoff for the NL wildcard. You could say it was the first unofficial wildcard game before it became a thing in 2012. For nearly the whole 99 season, they would be in a tight race with the, well, looky here, the Diamondbacks. For almost the whole season, either the Giants would be in first place or just a few games out of first to Arizona. August was when it fell apart. The Giants went 15-13 in August, but the Diamondbacks were 20-8 in the same month, and that's when they started to pull away. In fact, a little over a week after my birthday, the Diamondbacks came to ye olde 3Com Park and swept the Giants to win the NL West in just their second season of play. In the 1999 season, one of the worst teams in baseball wasn't the Diamondbacks or the other 1998 expansion team, the Tampa Bay Devil Rays. It was the Florida Marlins for the second year in a row. After the Marlins won the 1997 World Series, the team over the 1998 season had a good old-fashioned fire sale, practically trading every key cog available. Moises Alou playing in another dome stadium with the Houston Astros. Kevin Brown went to another World Series with the Padres. Bobby Bonilla, the first Marlin Gary Sheffield, slugging catcher Charles Johnson, and veteran Jim Eisenreich were among 5 players sent to Chavez Ravine for Todd Zeile and Mike Piazza, only for the Marlins to trade Piazza to the Mets a week later. Edgar Renteria, who won the 1997 World Series with his bat, was sent to the Cardinals. The Giants would get something in the fire sale. The Marlins closer Rob Nen. Nen would be one of the best relievers in history of the Giants. After being traded by the Marlins, Nen would become a 3-time All-Star and led the National League in saves in 2001. I was there when he earned his 300th save in 2002. The Giants did get one more pitcher in that infamous fire sale, but I'll cover him at a later date. With the Giants pretty much unable to catch the Diamondbacks and hosting a night game against the worst team in baseball on a Wednesday night, it was no surprise that my friend and I would be putting our feet up on the third base dugout at this game. Starting pitcher for the Marlins was Dennis Springer. At the age of 30, he had a few cups of coffee in the majors with the Phillies, Angels, Devil Rays, Marlins, Mets, and Dodgers. His best season was in 1997 with the Angels, where he finished with a .500 record. He was famously or infamously known for giving up Barry Bonds' 73rd home run in 2001. Going into this game, he had an abysmal record of 5-14. Starting pitcher for the Giants, Russ Ortiz. In a sea of some good Giants pitching at the turn of the millennium, there was Russ Ortiz. 4 of the 5 seasons he spent with the Giants, Ortiz recorded double-digit win totals. In 1999, he won 18 games. 2003 was his best season, where he not only played in his only All-Star game, but won 21 games that season, as a member of the Atlanta Braves. He was always that number 2 or 3 starter in the Giants' rotation. Despite his moderate to high ERA, Ortiz found a way to do his part in helping the Giants win during the first years at their new stadium. The first 2 innings, not much happened. In fact, in the second inning, both the Giants and Marlins went down in order. After another 1-2-3 inning from Ortiz in the top of the third, the Giants would try to put together a rally in the bottom half. It started with a leadoff single by catcher Doug Mirabelli. Strangely, Ortiz would get on base with a single to right. Mirabelli would run from first to third on the Ortiz hit. After Marvin Bernard struck out, Bill Miller would fly out to right, but the fly ball was deep enough for Mirabelli to tag up and put the Giants on the board first. The Marlins would answer back in the fourth. After a leadoff single by Mark Kotsay, Cliff Floyd, a slugger that was never affected by the great Marlins fire sale, hit a homer to right center to put the Marlins ahead. After Preston Wilson struck out and Derek Lee grounded out, the Marlins weren't done yet. Kevin Orie got a hit to left. Ortiz would walk Amari Garcia and Ramon Castro to load the bases. Thankfully, Dennis Springer was up, and he fouled out with a pop fly to first. The Giants wasted little to no time in tying the game when Jeff Kent launched one to the Bond squad at left field to lead off the bottom of the fourth. JT Snow was a hit batsman, and Ellis Burks walked to set the Giants up to do more damage. After Rich Aurelia flied out to right, Mirabelli would put another one in the outfield for a single. His second single would drive in Snow, and the Giants took back the lead. Springer and Ortiz would keep their opponents off the board in the 5th inning. Ortiz set down the Marlins in order in the 6th. In the bottom of the 6th, Snow leading off would give the Giants a little insurance when he sent one over that green wall in the outfield. After that, Springer took care of business despite giving up a hit to Aurelia. In the top of the 7th inning, Ortiz would retire the next 3 Marlin batters, but not before he gave up a leadoff homer to Ramon Castro to bring the Fish within 1. Springer's night was over as Jesus Sanchez took over and retired the Giants in order in the 7th. In the 8th inning, the Giants went to their bullpen, and Alan Embry would set down the heart of the Marlins lineup in order. Braden Looper replaced Sanchez for Florida, and even with the walk Looper gave up to Burks, nothing happened. For a few years, the top of the 9th inning would be known as the 9th inning. This was the time where the Giants closer Rob Nen would come in to record a save. In his time with the Giants, I had a love-hate relationship with one of the best closers in Giants history. Every time Nen got on the mound, I always said, "You better not screw this up, Nen." Sometimes he had no problem getting the job done with his fastball or nearly unhittable slider. Other times he drove me crazy by making his save situations interesting. He either got it done or he didn't. You could call this the torture before the World Series torture in 2010. Nen would give up a leadoff walk to Orie. Julio Ramirez would pinch run for Orie, which would amount to nothing as Ramirez was caught stealing with John Roscoe's at the plate. Roscoe's would strike out 3 pitches later. Nen would turn this save situation into a walk in the park as he struck out Castro to end the game. My friend and I didn't leave right away. I enjoyed the final stroll through Candlestick Park, knowing it would be the last time I would be walking through its concourse. We talked about the new Sega Dreamcast, movies, and anything else until the parking lot cleared out. I followed him as far as San Jose, which was familiar territory to me after having my license for almost a year. I drove home listening to old Jim Rome rants and thinking about my Yahoo chat girlfriend at that time who lived in Michigan and was going through some hard times with a friend of hers dying in a car accident. I never came back to the stick. I hadn't been to a 49ers game since 1993, and that drought is still going on as of recording this. Candlestick Park closed after the 2013 49ers season ended. The Niners would move into a billion-dollar mecca in the Silicon Valley known as Levi's Stadium in the 2014 season. The stadium would be slowly demolished in 2015. As of this video, nothing has been built to replace it, just an empty space where a lot of memories took place over a span of 50 years. Memories of this stadium by Candlestick Point will always live on in old Madden games and old baseball games from the 90s that used actual stadiums. This was the first live Giants game I went to on my birthday in 8 years. A front row seat where I could put my feet up on the dugout during inning breaks and seeing the Giants winning on my 22nd birthday. That was the best way to close a chapter of my life as a Giants fan.
I was there to celebrate my birthday and give my regards to Candlestick. I was there with my friend to say goodbye on September 15th, 1999.